Good evening, everyone. Chief Meteorologist Matt Holiner. Well, by now, I'm sure you've probably heard about the winter storm that's going to be impacting all of Iowa Friday and Friday night. So I wanted to make a quick video going over the latest forecast. And the most important thing at this point is the timing. So let's get started with that. Okay, so we're jumping ahead to 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Notice that for much of the state, things are still going to be quiet at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, but the snow is going to be starting to move in from the northwest. And as the day goes on, we're going to be seeing more and more of it across the state. 8 a.m. though, I do want to pause here because I do think that for most, the morning commute is going to be okay because even the snow early in the morning is probably going to be pretty light, so pretty low impact stuff. And notice that there are a lot of places that are going to be dry at 8 a.m. in the morning. But once we get past the morning commute, conditions are going to be deteriorating. We get towards the lunchtime hour around 11 a.m. and notice how it's becoming more numerous across the state. One other thing I do want to point out, in the far western part of the state, it's going to be a little bit warmer. Temperatures are actually going to be above freezing. So there could be a little bit of a rain-snow mix from Sioux-City onto the south. That's what's being indicated by those shades of gray and pink. For most of the state, though, temperatures are going to be below freezing, and this is going to be all snow, but possibility of a rain-snow mix during the afternoon hours for the far western part of the state. Notice 2 o'clock, we're getting into the thick of it, and I do think as we get into the afternoon hours, this is when the possibility for some pockets of heavy snow are going to be around as well. I notice a little rain-snow mix in the far western part of the state, but it's mostly snow in most locations. 5 p.m. Homebound commute, if you do have to go to work tomorrow and you're going to be driving home 5, 6 o'clock, heads up, it's not going to be good conditions out there. So again, if you're lucky enough to be off and inside, that's great. But if you do have to travel, it's going to be a slow go for the evening commute. Because look how the snow continues through the evening hours. There's 8 o'clock, and there's still going to be pockets of heavy snow. Notice as we get towards 11 o'clock, though, things start to quiet down for the far northern part of the state. And this trend is going to continue for the rest of Friday night. We jump ahead to 2 a.m. Notice how it's mainly limited across the southern half of the state. By 5 a.m., probably just some leftover flurries for the southern portion of the state. And then by 8 a.m. Saturday morning, I think all the snow is out of here. So how much snow are we going to see? Well, I'm going to show you this one model that I like the best. If I had to pick one model, I would pick this one. I think it's doing the best job overall, but again, it's always dangerous just to go with one model. So I'm going to briefly show this just to highlight the fact where we think the heaviest snow is going to be, which is in the west central part of the state. And I do think that there's going to be an area, wherever that band of heaviest snow sets up, of 8 to 10 inches of snow. Now, the models do vary exactly where that band sets up and how long that heavy snow lasts. So that's why there's varying opinions in the models, and it's always good to consider all the possibilities. So this is one possibility, but rather than focusing on one number for exactly how much snow you're going to see, because that's always a dangerous thing, because the chances of you actually seeing these specific amounts is pretty slim. Let's talk about ranges, what the possibilities are. All right, so for Mason City, I think at the low end, if the snow underachieves, the lowest you will see is 4 inches. If the snow overachieves, I think the highest you'll see is 8 inches. And this applies to everywhere else. Waterloo, I think your range, 3 inches to 7 inches. Again, what's most likely is somewhere right in the middle, because that's the model average. But we do have to consider the low end as a possibility and the high end. Sioux City, looking at 3 to 5 inches. Muscatine, 2 to 5 inches. Quad Cities, you're not going to see as much as other parts of the state, but I still think it's going to be 1 to 4 inches is your range. All right, so because we're going to see smaller amounts in the far eastern and western part of the state, winter weather advisories are in effect through Saturday morning. But right in the heart of the state, in that shade of pink, that's the winter storm warning. That's where those highest snow totals are expected. Places like Des Moines, Waterloo, Mason City. Meanwhile, Sioux City, Davenport, Muscatine, Moline, you're all under the winter weather advisory because you're going to get snow, but not as much. All right, so let's summarize everything and talk about what you really need to know. And that's really to highlight Friday afternoon and evening, because that's when there's going to be heavy snow at times. Certainly light to moderate snow, but what we're most concerned about is that heavy snow, because that's what impacts things the most. And I tell you what, again, for most parts of the state with temperatures below freezing, the snow is going to be able to accumulate quickly, especially when that heavy snow is coming down. Heavy snow with temperatures below freezing tends to pile up pretty fast. Another thing to keep in mind, though, is wind gusts across the state during the afternoon and evening are going to be around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So what that means is the snow that falls is then going to be blown around. And so when you have blowing snow on top of falling snow, that really lowers the visibility, and that makes travel dangerous. So the biggest thing I can encourage people across the state to do is, if you don't have to be on the roads Friday afternoon and evening, try not to be, because it's going to be bad conditions pretty much anywhere you go, but of course particularly where those shades of pink are in that winter storm warning. If you do have to travel anywhere in the state, though, please give yourself plenty of time to reach your destination, as you're probably going to encounter snow-covered roads, and in some cases that snow cover may be pretty deep, the kind of stuff you can't drive through. At the very least, you should absolutely be driving below the speed limit. The slower, the better. With that reduced visibility, you're not going to be able to see very far in front of you. And I'll tell you what, though the worst conditions are going to be Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and the intensity of the snow is going to be backing off. In fact, all the snow is probably going to be out of the state by 8 a.m. Saturday. I would be careful driving throughout the day Saturday, because keep in mind, when you have a storm that's going to be impacting the entire state, that's really going to strain the snowplows, and it's going to take them time to clear the roads. Of course, the major roads will be cleared first, but secondary roads, especially in those places with the highest snow totals, it's going to take time to clear those. And it may not be till Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening in some locations. So just be careful really driving throughout the day Saturday, even after the snow has stopped falling. There's still going to be piles of it everywhere. And then finally, if you do have to travel in that winter storm warning area, and those shades pink, if you have to travel across the area, or if you live in the area and you do have to travel, you can't avoid traveling, I would carry some supplies in your car, just in case. Because unfortunately, when you're talking about snow totals this high, this is the kind of scenario where people can get stranded in their vehicle. And so if you get stranded in your vehicle, this is what you're going to want. You're going to want to keep warm. So you're going to want hats and gloves, and maybe throw some blankets in your car to keep yourself warm, because that's the most important thing. Carry a flashlight in your car, maybe some snacks and bottles of water in case you're in there for a long time. It takes crews a long time to get to you. I would make sure you have a full tank of gas, so hopefully you can keep your engine running as long as possible. And also, absolutely, carry your cell phone charger with you, or bring a backup battery, because the biggest thing you want to do if you find yourself stranded, you're going to want to call for help, and so you're going to want to have a good charge on your phone. Again, hopefully it doesn't come to this, but again, it's better to be prepared than not in this situation.